In this episode of Hope in Motion, abandoned at her school by separated parents, 13-year-old Deepthi gets an emotional surprise from her American sponsors.
Hi Deepthi, this is Trina Gifford, and we are so happy to sponsor you. And we just wanted to tell you just a little bit about ourselves.
After losing his eldest brother, China Rao is now responsible for providing food and shelter for his sister-in-law and her 3 kids, in addition to his own family. Without a sponsor and no money for education, his 7-year-old son, Adarsh, cannot return to school.
I worked as a watchman, office boy, and even as a substitute teacher. I also sometimes help in cooking meals for the children and do whatever jobs are asked of me.
And Sue Smith, a physical therapist from San Diego, finds herself far from home, overwhelmed by an endless list of desperate needs.
I have a little bit of a hard time. It's difficult. I take leave without pay for my job, and I was getting anxious. I was very anxious, and I called my daughter. And I was thinking, why am I doing this? I think it. Why am I doing this? Why do I have to come so far to do this?
India is a land full of contrast. It's a land of great mystery and beauty. It's a land of unspeakable despair. But traveling through India, one thing is for sure. It's a land filled with people who should never be underestimated. For the last 40 years, Asian Aid has invested in the futures of people who have never been given such a chance, and their investment has proven infinite returns. Driven by the vision of Helen Eager, dedicated to helping those who have the least, Asian Aid is an organization implementing diverse development projects and sponsoring thousands of children. Their outreach spans from Bangladesh to Nepal, Sri Lanka, and beyond, from remote villages and empty fields to sprawling centers of education, from nothing to the unimaginable. Now, Asian Aid decided to document the work it has been doing all these years with a desire to show the world what is possible, by digging wells in remote villages for clean drinking water, and bringing much-needed health care to the women of Nepal, by providing an education for orphans, deaf, and blind children, giving them a sense of place, a home. But what we really discovered was being given was hope, giving hope to children, giving hope to women, giving hope to the ones who need it the most. This is Hope in Motion.
Located in the center of town, the Seventh-day Adventist School in Vizianagaram serves over 180 students, ranging from kindergarten to 7th grade, with just 8 teachers and staff. Sue Smith, a pediatric physical therapist from San Diego, California, never thought she'd go all the way to India. In fact, when the idea first came up, she thought, no way.
I live 15 miles from Mexico, which has great need, 15 miles from my home, and yet I think God has drawn me here to India through no volition of my own. It's almost like it's not my choosing, it's a responding.
Sue first came to India on a mission trip with her church, where she met the principal of a small Adventist church school. They invited Sue to stay with them before she went back home to the U.S.
I was told at the time the children were getting sick in the wintertime because they were only bathing with cold water and they got very sick. All they had was the hand pump.
Yes.
And that was all. They just bathed outside and that sort of thing, and they drank and washed their dishes.
Face to face with the endless list of desperate needs, Sue was overwhelmed by the situation before her.
I take leave without pay for my job, and I was getting anxious. I was very anxious, and I called my daughter. And I was thinking, why am I doing this? I think it. Why am I doing this? Why do I have to come so far to do this?
Her daughter listened as Sue struggled to understand why God had called her to this particular place. Her daughter asked her if she ever regretted what she was doing there, and the answer was quite simply no.
The first year, I went on my own expense. The next year, it went in my mind, I can't do this alone. I want my church family supporting me, with me. This needs to be a church project, not just a Sue Smith project. So I asked the first year if they would pay my project fee, and they did. The church paid for my project fee.
At home in San Diego, Sue's enthusiasm inspired the Bonita Valley SDA Church to get involved. One day after Sue had just given a presentation in front of the church congregation, a woman came to talk to her.
I just told I was going to India. I spoke up front. I was going to India, and then we had a second service in the afternoon, and she came to me. She says, I have something for you. I did not plan to be on the first service, and I heard you talk. I save money for special projects, and God told me, you're the special project. She handed me an envelope, and I counted it. It was 10 $100 bills. She handed me $1,000.
With the support of her church, Sue now had the confidence and financial means to help the Vijayanagram school.
So we thought, what is a good thing to help the school? And they said, hot water.
Now children are enjoying with hot water.
Yes, yes, and we think in the U.S. we don't think about having hot water. Every time we turn the tap, we have hot water.
Yes.
Here, we had to provide this, and it's been a great blessing for the children.
Getting a solar panel to heat the water seems like a simple thing, perhaps even an unnecessary luxury. But the impact profoundly affected the children's health.
God provided the sun, yes. We provided the equipment, and
utilizing.
And they said that winter, no children became ill, not one. So we said they need good, pure water, at least for drinking. So we put a water purification system in there, so then the children aren't at risk of being ill from their drinking water. In fact, they had the well tested afterwards, and they said, this is not good water to drink. Oh, so now they had good, pure water to drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have a little problem here. It keeps it cool, but it's not safe. We have insects, mosquitoes coming in, malaria, typhoid. It's just rampant here. So here we have our wonderful little boys. This is how they sleep.
In addition to the solar panel and water purification system, Sue Smith, through the support of her church, also installed news screens on all the windows, thus minimizing the possibility of the children contracting malaria while they sleep. Andhra Pradesh is the hottest state in India in the summer months. Afternoon temperatures can reach 115 degrees Fahrenheit. The church provided ceiling fans to help those days pass more comfortably. Portable blackboards allow the teachers to give visual examples to several children at once, and desks give the students the ability to sit more comfortably for long periods of time. Over the course of 5 years, the Bonita Valley SDA Church provided the Vijayanagram school with many basic needs, but their greatest contribution was much more personal.
I guess anywhere sponsoring a child makes a difference, because to be a child without any education and just working out in the fields from as soon as you're big enough to run around almost, it's just a total transformation of a person's life. This is something that really troubles me at times, when I think that because we can't accept all the children that we get applications for, and I think, well, you know, the ones that we can't help and can't sponsor, it's almost like a death sentence. No, not really, but you know, you just feel that it's just to have an education is something that's really more valuable, and I think we really understand.
Every day, Chinna Rao rides his bike several miles to the Vijayanagram school, where he works as the campus handyman.
I've been working at the school since 1999. My sister was working here first, and then I also joined. I worked as a watchman, office boy, and even as a substitute teacher. I also sometimes help in cooking meals for the children, and do whatever jobs are asked of me.
A few years ago, Chinna Rao was forced to pull his own son out of the school, as there just weren't enough funds to keep him there. Without an education himself, Chinna Rao knows all too well the future of poverty his son will endure.
Because of the big families having little problem. because he has to take care of his in-laws and the children and his wife. Then one brother, his eldest brother expired, it seems. So his brother's wife, and she has three or two daughters. So one daughter's husband also died. So all this, sometimes they depend on Chinnarao. Chinnarao means Adar's father. So he has to now and then he has to support the brother's side and the in-laws. So he's having a little hard time to maintain his family.
With so many extra mouths to feed on his salary alone, every single rupee is absorbed by the family's basic survival needs. To her teachers, Deepthi is a bright light in her class. To her fellow students, she's an ever-loving friend. And if you're a visitor to the school, one would never miss her smiling face. Deepthi first came to the Vijayanagram school as a regular boarding student, but then things took a sad turn.
Always she's happy, always she puts her face happy and she's okay. Then one day she's looking so sad. Then I asked one of the girls, why Deepthi is so sad today? Then they said, Madam, Deepthi has some problem. So her mother won't stay with her, father also staying somewhere. Now and then she thinks of her parents and sometimes she'll be sad like that. Then I called Deepthi and asked, what happened, why you are like this? Then she told her story.
Dress తీసుకొని వస్తాను పదండి అందరికీ డ్రెస్సులు బట్టలు కట్టి తీసుకొని వచ్చి వస్తాను పదండి మీరు ముందు వెళ్ళండి అన్నారు మేడం అనేసి మమ్మల్ని పంపించాక కొన్ని రోజులు అయ్యా 5-6 రోజులు అయ్యాక ఇంకా ఏమైందో తెలియదు కానీ మా అమ్మ నుంచి అమ్మమ్మ వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి వెళ్ళింది నాన్న నుంచి నాన్నమ్మ వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి వస్తాను.
They never came back. It's unclear exactly what happened with Deepthi's parents, but apparently they are no longer together. The separation of her parents was traumatic enough, but their eventual abandonment of her was completely devastating. Living with her grandmother would mean she would struggle for 1 square meal a day and was destined to become somebody's domestic help. Without a sponsor, Chinnarao's son Adarsh and 13-year-old Deepthi cannot return to school.
Girls, your ride's here. I love you. Have a good day at school. Bye. Bye.
See you tonight. Give my love to Mina.
I will.
You can make a big difference every morning.
Sponsor a child with Asian Aid.
Well, it's breakfast time at the Sunrise Home, and these 75 sponsored Asian Aid children will shortly be going to school, and down the road we're building a new home for them, and they're very excited. There's an overwhelming need with orphans in this country, and Asian Aid needs your support with its orphanage home projects.
In 2009, the federal government of India passed the Right to Education Bill, giving hope to millions of children and a promise for a better future. Numerous government initiatives to provide access to free education may be underway, but issues of equity, quality, and access remain areas of concern. Progress is slow, particularly in rural areas, and especially for Adarsh and Deepthi.
పాస్టర్ గారు 7th డే పాస్టర్ గారు ఆయన నన్ను చూసి ఇంకా అమ్మ నాన్నలు లేరు ముసలోళ్ళు కదా నాన్నమ్మలు నిన్ను ఎలా పెంచుతారు మంచి స్కూల్ ఉంది 7th డే నేను అక్కడ జాయిన్ చేస్తే నీకు దేవుడు బాగా దీవిస్తాడు, చక్కగా ఉంటావు అక్కడ, నీకు ఏ భయము ఉండదు, పెద్ద అయ్యే వరకు అన్నీ వాళ్ళే చూసుకుంటారు అని చెప్పేసి నన్ను ఇక్కడ తీసుకొచ్చారు.
The pastor helped Deepthi return to the Vijayanagram school, and a couple from Sue's church in San Diego stepped forward as her sponsors through Asian Aid.
I'm convinced with laser-like integrity that if we take care of the children, we take care of the future. That's the promise of tomorrow. It's in the children. If they're educated, if they're fed, if they're clothed, then we have a future.
This conviction in the promise of tomorrow has been bringing Sue Smith back to India year after year. Although none of her fellow church members have come back to India with her, their unfailing support is with her both in spirit as well as a suitcase full of gift bags.
This year, every single student who was sponsored, I asked the sponsor if they would like, they could bring a gallon Ziploc bag of any toys, any books, anything they wanted. Every child had a gift bag, and it was like Christmas and better than you can ever imagine. It was fabulous. So my church is there with me, even though I feel a little selfish because I get to hand the gifts. I get to hold them and hug them. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Mommy. But it's not me. I'm just passing them from my church. So we're all involved together.
Sponsors encourage the children to share their treats with fellow students so that no one gets left out of the fun. Today is a special day as Deepthi and her friends crowd around a laptop screen for a surprise.
Hi Deepthi, this is Trina Gifford, and we are so happy to sponsor you. And we just wanted to tell you just a little bit about ourselves. And
For the past 2 years, Trina and Chip Gifford have been sponsoring Deepthi through Asian Aid. But this is the first time Deepthi is seeing and hearing their voices.
And we live here in San Diego, which is a beautiful place. And we hope that you are having a wonderful year as a new school. And we just want you to know we love you and we're praying for you. And that we hope someday to meet you. We call you our beautiful Indian daughter, so just know that.
I love to see when we get pictures of you and when we see your letters, to see your bright eyes and your bright smile and how happy you are over there. And we hope that you are healthy, we hope that you are feeling good, we hope that you know that Jesus loves you very much and that we love you just as much as well.
వాళ్ళ నా తల్లిదండ్రులు అయితే ఇంకా హ్యాపీగా ఉంటానని అనుకుంటాను. వాళ్ళు చూసిన వెంటనే వాళ్ళే నా స్పాన్సర్గా ఇంకా ఉండాలని అనిపించింది. వాళ్ళు ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడాలని అనిపించింది, క్లియర్గా చూడాలనిపించింది ముందు కూర్చొని. దాన్ని బట్టి చూస్తే మా స్పాన్సర్ నన్ను ఎంతగా ప్రేమిస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి నేను చాలా బాగా చదువుకొని స్కూల్కి ఫస్ట్ ర్యాంక్ తెచ్చుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నాను.
When individuals sign up to sponsor a child in a faraway country, it can be difficult to connect with just a name and a photograph. But through letters and now through their personal video message, both Deepthi and the Giffords have found so much more than a connection. They found family.
నేను సండే స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఆ రోజే దేవుడు నాకు ఒక వాక్యం చెప్పాడు. తల్లిదండ్రులు వీళ్ళు తల్లిదండ్రులు పైన ఉన్నాడు ఒక దేవుడని పాస్టర్ గారు చెప్పినప్పుడు నేను చాలా సంతోషించాను. దేవుడు నాకు ఇక్కడికి రావడానికి హెల్ప్ చేశాడు. హెల్ప్ చేసినప్పుడు తల్లిదండ్రులు నేను అనుకోయాను, తల్లిదండ్రులు ఎందుకంటే విడిపోయారు కాబట్టి నా తల్లిదండ్రులు లేరే అని భావించాను.
Sue has returned to India for the 6th time. In addition to delivering gifts, she's come to inspect the campus and report back to her church about the ongoing needs.
What are the children using for us?
They're sleeping there.
They're sleeping there.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
So it's sleeping and boarding and lodging and also church.
Yes.
So church is empty. Since we started the boarding, no place for the boys to keep. So we thought, then let us keep these boys in the church. Anyway, this is also God's work, we think. Then children need some accommodations to stay. So we put these boys in the church. In the church, same time, the children study here, sleep here, they spend their time here. At the same time, daytime, we are conducting 1 or 2 classes also. When Friday evening comes, we'll pack up all the things one side, then we'll have Vespers, then on Sabbath service and Sabbaths. When Sunday comes, again the same thing, it starts.
It's wonderful that the building could be used that way, but when I look across, I wish boys' dorm, girls' dorm, proper bathrooms, classrooms that don't have to be held in the church. This is my wish for this campus. As I said, like Noah's Ark. The children need to be safe
I understand.
and saved right here on this campus. But we have a ways to go. This is the beginning. This is the beginning.
Yes.
The school's remote location, lack of funding, and the difficulty in generating income on its own has resulted in poor basic structures. In spite of all the help from Sue's church family, the Vijayanagram School continues to need help in providing a good learning environment for the children.
When the boarding students arrived, this was the only bathroom on the campus. And this is what we had for the boys and for the girls. So no child should have something like this. So that was unacceptable, and Asian Aid put in an emergency request, and we had these 4 toilets provided, but there's not water, so that's a problem. If people are willing to give, this campus can be what God intends it to be for these children.
While the school's situation may seem destitute, most of the students are living in much better conditions at the school now than if they were at home. All the students come from needy families, and only a few students are able to pay something towards their tuition. The rest of the students in the school are dependent on sponsorship. Without committed sponsors and donors, it would be impossible for them to feed and educate the children.
We always need donations, especially for projects like buildings, like chairs, like blackboards, like blankets when it's cold. So donations for projects or for special needs are desperately needed, and we're so grateful for the people that we call donors rather than sponsors.
Throughout my travels in India, Nepal and other places, there's so much need that we come across. There are children who don't have a classroom to study in, they study under trees. There are schools that are half complete because there's not always the funds to finish them. And there are children in communities that don't even have schools or teachers who come there. And so whenever we travel, we see the need to just respond in different ways, and we're always looking out for how we can find good people with good ideas that we can support. And one of these is the Vijayanagram School.
In a world with so much poverty and injustice, it can be utterly overwhelming to take a step towards changing things for the better. From the comfort of our couch, we wonder, what difference can I make? And truly, there isn't much that many of us can do alone. But when Sue Smith realized she couldn't do it alone, perhaps it was in that very moment that one person did make a difference.
For children, it is very important. Suppose if fathers didn't get any sponsorship, if parents cannot afford, so you may not go to school, you might stay at home, you will become an illiterate. By giving the sponsorship, children will be literate and they will study, they will come up in their life through somebody's help. If parents can't afford, how they will go to school, how they will study. So sponsorship is necessary for the kids.
This is my boy here.
Boy or Nephew, I don't know.
This is a Darsh. Yeah.
Something you say then.
Susana Madam Garu manki help
Sue is sponsoring Adarsh's education. When she was here, she promised that she would support his education, and she has kept her promise. I had to put him in a school outside. We can't afford it. Even now at the Adventist school, if Sue isn't helping us, we cannot give him an education.
I began sponsoring just actually this last June. Adarsh had been in school at the Christian school when he was small, 4 years old, 5 years old. So he was home here for a while, and just this last June, he went back to school, and I told his parents, if you put him back in the school, I'll sponsor you.
Sponsorship has given Adarsh the ability to dream of a better future, not just for himself, but for his family and his community.
Ask him what he wants to become.
ఇంకేమవ్వాలని ఉందమ్మా పెద్ద అయిన తర్వాత గట్టిగా డాక్టర్.
Why do you want to become a doctor, Adarsh?
ఎందుకు అవ్వాలనుకుంటున్నా డాక్టర్గా?
నేను పేదలందరికీ సేవ చేస్తాను.
He wants to be a doctor and he wants to serve the poor and needy.
ఈ విషయంలోనైతే అక్కనే చాలా
I'm so thankful to Sue because I don't think everyone is as lucky and blessed as we are. We don't know how much she struggles. She saves her money and helps our children, and this is a very selfless thing to do. Not many people have this desire. In spite of her own hardships, she's helping us, and I'm very thankful for that.
It's good to know the world is different, in India especially, for some reason. And I've heard this expression, it gets in your blood. I love India. I love the people, the children of India, and I can't stay away.
Hi, I'm Sean Boonstra, and I'm really excited to be an honorary ambassador for Asian Aid. Today, there are a lot of children in need of individuals who will step forward and provide them with the opportunity to receive an education. Asian Aid sponsors over 8,000 children in Adventist schools in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. You can not only give them an education, but you can also introduce these children to Jesus. Why don't you join my family in sponsoring a child through Asian Aid and making a huge difference in their lives with sponsorship?